This is the golden question. Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 9 of the Golden Question podcast. And in this episode, I want to really lay out the irony in the handling of the administration, the Trump administration, for the coronavirus, and really the irony in all this. So, if you all don't remember, and it's still going on now, people still think that Donald Trump is Hitler. But even more so when he was elected, you had Antifa coming out and protesting, and you had everybody. It didn't really necessarily have to be Antifa, but you had everybody saying Donald Trump was Hitler. He is going to enslave us. He's going to kill all the blacks, African Americans, Black Americans. He's racist. He's going to kick all the Mexicans out. He's an authoritative figure. He's going to use all the power. So, I mean, if you have concerns of a president, I mean, the Republicans thought that of Obama also. They thought Obama was this socialist dictator who's going to enact all these unconstitutional laws and is going to overreach his power, which is right? It's concerns that you should have as a president. And I'll get to the solution to that, and I'll get to the, thank God for our Constitution and for what it instills in terms of the executive branch and all the branches of government. But just in regards to Trump, you have people now saying that Trump didn't do enough. He should have done more. He's just sitting there not doing anything. Why isn't Trump doing anything? And there's countless articles now that I'm looking through, and I feel like after this coronavirus thing subsides a little bit, you're going to see a lot more articles sort of bashing the administration and how they're not doing more. But again, every time I open my phone, there's countless new articles that are all saying how Trump didn't do enough, how his administration didn't do enough. But weren't they just 3 years ago scared of Trump, right? Calling him Hitler and everything? But now you want Hitler to do more. And really, that's the irony in this, and that's what baffles my mind, right? You have an individual who you were scared of, but now that something goes wrong, now you want him to do more. You want him to enact more, do more power, exercise his power more. But weren't you just calling him Hitler? So if you have somebody you don't like, your inclination would be, let's limit his power, right? He got elected, there's nothing we can do, but it'll be our best efforts to try to limit his power. And that's the way that our Constitution was established. That's the way that this country is established, in that you have the executive branch. Now, if there's somebody there that you like, yeah, you might want to give him as much power as possible, right? If you have somebody who shares your ideas, you could say, hey, I want that person to have as much power so that they can enact on all these ideas that I believe in. But what if there's somebody that you don't like? Well, there's the dangerous part. Now you've given them the power, you've given that seat the power, and then they can enact all the power that they want, and it could be used against you, and it could be used to advance their ideology, which may be in complete opposition to yours. But you have people now who regarded Trump as a dictator. I mean, if they believe that, it's just a matter of opinion. But then when a condition arises like this, where they want the federal government to do more, all of a sudden they're now saying that Trump isn't doing enough. And this is the hypocrisy in this, where so I'm really surprised on what Antifa is going to do if there's a new protest. Is Antifa going to still say that Trump's Hitler, right? Is Hitler not doing enough, or is he doing too much? I'm just really confused in what they're going to say in response to this. And not only Antifa, I'm just bringing it up in TV because that's the main thing that pops up in my mind when I think of people equating Trump to Hitler. But you have everybody, everybody on the other side of the aisle calling Trump Hitler. But now their argument is that Trump didn't do enough. So this is really what baffles my mind. And this shows you the hypocrisy in their ideology and how fast they swing. This is why they're called liberals, progressives. They easily want to change the status quo. They don't believe in a set value and a set of values and are consistent with it. They could easily change with respect to the tides of society, right? Just because now um, they're for let's say gay marriage. What if 20 years from now, all of a sudden the popular movement is against gay marriage? Then they'll switch and they'll say they're against gay marriage. So that's the problem with progressives and their whole liberal ideology, in that they're not consistent with the set with set values. They're always shifting across. If there's any changes in the collective society and what they believe in, they could easily shift to adjust to that, and that's the dangerous part. I mean, conservatives, they're not just they have set values that they want to conserve. That's why they're called conservatives. They're conserving, in this case, constitutional values. Liberals, on the other hand, they don't have a set value. So if you ask a liberal what they believe in, their answer is just whatever society believes in now, whatever the collective believes in. Because again, they believe in democracy, they believe in collectivism. So they just would rather believe in whatever the collective believes in. If the collective believes in, as we've seen in World War II, with the rise of Hitler, the collective of Germany believed that the Jews should have been extinguished. The Jews were a small minority, and the progressives in this case, which was the Nazi movement, the National Socialist Party, they believed in to get rid of the minority of the Jews. It's the collective movement. Now, if the collective movement swings and now all of a sudden wants to get rid of a different type of people, let's say it wanted to get rid of Catholics or Protestants, whatever the minority in Germany at the time was, then they'll swing to that. So they don't have a set values. The problem with the collective is you're just following whatever everybody else follows. You're just following their ideology. You're just a follower. You don't have a set value of belief that you want to conserve and that you believe in, no matter what the collective wants. And that's the whole point of having individual thought and individual freedom to exercise your own thoughts, rather than just latching on to whatever the collective is. And this is the irony in this case. You had people claiming that Trump was Hitler, claiming that he's going to tear down the United States, tear down the fabric of society. But all of a sudden, when it comes to a crisis like this, they want him to exercise his power even more. They're saying Trump didn't do enough. And this is the irony. It's like, what do you want? You were scared of Trump, exercising his power, but now all of a sudden he is in power, and now you want him to exercise more of his power. So I just wanted to clearly state the irony that I've seen, and I haven't really seen any others really mention it a bit, but that's the irony that I've realized. I'm going to keep this episode a little bit short. So again, if you guys enjoyed, check out my YouTube channel, subscribe, and I'm going to be posting more content outside of podcasts on that. And stay safe, guys. I'm back. I just wanted to add one thing. Sorry for the unofficial abrupt ending. I wanted to add one thing, and what I wanted to add was, the beauty of the Constitution was that the federal government doesn't have that much power, and that's the way it was inclined to be. Whether it be the judicial branch or all these three branches, which are all fall safes, just in case there is somebody that gets into power who's actually bad for the country. But in terms of the president, the beauty of the Constitution is that even though you may have somebody elected who you don't like, the beauty of that is he won't have any power to do anything. You have the person there, but the power is stripped away from him. So he doesn't really do anything, the president, at the end of the day. You might have some executive orders here and there, but at the end of the day, he doesn't really do anything, and that's the beauty of this. You can have a monkey as a president for all I care, but that monkey isn't going to do anything. You can even have Hitler as the president of the United States. And guess what? There really isn't anything to be scared of, because at the end of the day, the power that he has is stripped away from him. So that's the beauty of the Constitution. When you take away power from a seat, it doesn't matter who's sitting in that seat. They aren't going to do anything that's going to affect our lives. And I mean, for most of the for most of the beginning of the United States history, up until the invention of the telephone, up until the invention of television, a lot of people in the United States had no clue who the president was, right? If you back then in the 1800s, people living out in the Midwest, Wisconsin, very far away from the capital. People sometimes had no clue who the president was, and that's the beauty of it. The president didn't have that much power to affect their lives. I mean, he was there, he might have did some stuff, but at the end of the day, he didn't do something that directly affected their own lives. And that's the beauty of it. And unfortunately, what we have in a movement in the United States now is that they want the federal government to grow in power. You have states begging the federal government to do more. It's almost as if they would rather give up their own power and just send it to Washington. And unfortunately, that is a negative thing. When we give the federal government power, and this is for both ends of the aisle, because you're going to have a president that may not be in agreement with your ideology, right? You can give someone power, as I've said before earlier on in the podcast, you can give someone power who agrees with you. Yeah, that's great. He can enact in your ideology. But what if there's someone there that disagrees with you? You've already given that seat power, and now he has the power to completely reverse everything that you've done and enact his own laws. Thanks for listening.